Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the Column EDC's Coffee Chat, Coffee with Colleen. We appreciate you joining us and spending some time with us this morning. Today, we have Sam Grello on with us. He's the Executive Director of the Port Angeles Waterfront District. We're really happy to learn about the work that he's doing and their board and the goals that they have. And so with that, just a couple housekeeping items. If you would please keep yourself on mute so we don't inadvertently pick up background noises or dogs barking. And if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, we like to keep this interactive. So you can either raise your hand and I'll call on you and you can ask your question of Sam, or alternatively, if you just want to put your question in the chat, I'll go ahead and read it to Sam and he can answer it that way. So with that, thanks again, Sam, for joining us, and I'll let you take it away. I know you have some slides for us.
Awesome. So I'm going to share the screen right now.
Okay.
All right, everybody. So thanks for having me here today. I'm going to talk about the Waterfront District. And so I just wanted to do a brief presentation overview of some of the things I'm going to be going over. I want to start with the history of the organization, talking about Elevate PA and some of the tasks that have been accomplished so far and things that we're looking to accomplish next. And then we'll have questions throughout the presentation, but also if you have any questions for me at the end, I'll be happy to answer them. Basically, the key takeaways I want you guys to get from this is a sense of who we are. We are a community development organization. The Waterfront District is here to help other people and organizations achieve our shared goals. So we're a very collaborative organization. And, the saying that is up in my office is a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's where we are right now. The tide's rising. So we want to make sure that everybody can get in on that. So starting with the history of the Waterfront District, in late 2019, early 20, Mark Abshire over at the Chamber of Commerce became aware of various significant development projects that were starting to take place and already in the midst of happening. And so just kind of, I'm sure a bunch of you have seen a version of this slide before in the past. This was produced in 2019. So it just became aware there's about $140 million in private investments. Public infrastructure was being reinvested in. So, instances like the rails at City Pier, Red Lion Hotel came under new ownership. Harbortown Marketplace also came under new ownership, and there are exciting renovation plans. The landing was well on its way to be transformed into the wharf. The old Dairy Queen building got like a complete facelift and renovation and got turned into the rails. So that was exciting. The demolition for the Elwha Hotel was getting started, and Eric Dupar's condo project downtown was starting to be talked about. Field Arts and Events Hall hadn't been constructed yet, but was happening, as well as the other two buildings for the Waterfront Center complex were being discussed. So it just became very clear that this is an exciting time to be on the waterfront of Port Angeles, something that hadn't happened, in generations, right? And so the chamber noticed that there was a distinct lack in communication between these projects. And so Mark organized a meeting between various stakeholders. So we had both property owners, residential neighbors, project managers of these different projects, and he brought them together to discuss what they were doing. This informal group of folks, the Port Angeles Renaissance, they called themselves, immediately recognized that there was a bunch of value and importance in communicating with each other and collaborating. There was a lot of room for that. So the group recognized that there was a shared desire for an improvement of the waterfront. Nobody was very happy with the current state of how things were down on the waterfront, but there was a lack of a vision for what that could be. Everybody had their various ideas, but there was no cohesive vision amongst all of the various stakeholders and residents in the region. So the group decided they should meet regularly and go about figuring out a vision for the waterfront to aspire towards. So it was very important that we didn't just have a bunch of cowboys shooting from the hip, because at that point, you lack some synergy, and there are opportunities for us to collaborate together. So Elevate Port Angeles was created. And the statement of purpose of this group, I'll read it out to you because I think it's important. There's never been a better time to harness momentum and together embrace a new vision for our downtown. This is about our entire community, by and for all of us, and a chance to turn our pride into action and results. And so the by and for all of us is very important. It is important, just that the community is aware. And then it's also important just for Elevate PA and the Waterfront District that it's known that what we are working towards has come out of the community. It's come out of the stakeholders. These are things that people have talked about. This wasn't a group of guys in a back room around a table smoking cigars, imagining the future that they wanted. This is a vision that has come together from people in the community. So in the summer of 2020, as COVID was getting going, we all had a lot of time on our hands to start thinking about things and doing some research. So Elevate PA started researching case studies of other similar waterside communities that had been affected by some of the economic conditions that Port Angeles has been affected by in the last 20 to 30 years. Elevate Port Angeles started conducting stakeholder surveys amongst downtown stakeholders, so property owners, business merchants, as well as nonprofits and the city itself, to see where people were at with the state of downtown. And then finally, Elevate PA formed a steering committee to start to determine a path forward. So there are a number of ways that Elevate Port Angeles engaged with the community to develop a vision for the future. They conducted a vision survey amongst a bunch of stakeholders. From that survey, they conducted a vision workshop, and piggybacking off of that, they also conducted another workshop identifying all of the assets that our downtown region has, of which there are many, and how we can capitalize off of those. And they also conducted a community sentiment survey. How do people feel about where we are? How do they feel about the streets? Do they think that Port Angeles is in a good place? Is it in a bad place? Could it be better? Could it be worse? So, over the course of this 9 to 10 month process, over 700 individual inputs were used.
Coffee with Colleen.
And so, that's a lot of people, right? That is a lot of people who contributed to this. And so this is what we came up with. So this, I want to take a second to explain this box here. Some of you may have seen this before in the past. This was conducted at our visioning workshop back in 2021. And so the grid that you're looking at here, the x-axis is the visitor experience. And you can go from a distinguished, unique experience to a customary anywhere, nowhere USA experience you won't remember. And then on the y-axis, we've got district attractions. So, at the top of that, it's a destination. It's a place that you go to. And at the bottom of that, it's a place that you drive through, right? And so we had over 100 attendees at this visioning workshop. And if you can see the smaller squares here that are colored, we've got, that's how many people imagined where our preferred future would be in 5 years from July of 2021, right? And most people surveyed said that they wanted a distinguished destination for our downtown region, right? They wanted a place that was special and a place that you remembered, right? It wasn't just anywhere, nowhere USA. So we also surveyed folks and asked them, well, hey, what do you think Port Angeles is going to look like if we do nothing? And these same people responded like this. So they figured that we would just remain a customary pass-through town, where the only pictures you could find of us on Google would be of the coho, or people driving through, right? So I think it's really telling that everybody surveyed really preferred to have a distinguished destination, and so we called this a base camp for your stay and a gateway to adventure. And this is the pitch, the vision that this group determined is what we wanted for our downtown region, right? Our waterfront. So how do you do that? Like, how do you transform a community? That's kind of a nebulous task. Like, I don't know, how do you go about that? We have a bunch of smart people on our board and on our steering committee who have helped other communities transform themselves. And there's a strategy called the SMART Strategic Action Plan Framework, right? And so SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So basically, you have to focus on what are your primary issues of challenge and opportunity to get to a place where we're a distinguished destination. And so we have to determine where we're starting from, right? Like, what are our issues and, what are we working with? And then, how can we get there, in a short amount of time period, or how can we work, get on our process to that point, right? So we created a 5-year action plan. Not everything is going to get done in those 5 years, but we're going to be able to measure our progress against that time. And that's important because you need to establish objectives and key indicators to see, where have we been and where are we going? And so we can measure our success, and we can use those measurements to determine if we need to adjust how we're going about this process, right? And that is how you can go about changing a community, right? So we did another workshop to kind of identify some of the challenges and opportunities that our downtown waterfront is facing, right? And some of the challenges, I think we're all sort of aware. Some of the curb appeal is not great. We do have some vacant storefronts. There is a perception about visitor safety and security here that's not actually accurate, but folks do make judgments based on what they see on the streets, in our downtown region. And also identifying, what does downtown Port Angeles lack for the visitor experience? What do we not have right now that we can bring? And that's the exciting stuff, right? Those are the things that we can attack, but it's important also to focus on, our opportunities and the assets that our waterfront district already has, right? We are in a unique location. We're just about at the end of the road. We get to look out at Edith's Hook, which is a very unique natural feature. We've got amazing views, not only of the Strait, of Canada, of Hurricane Ridge. We are the hub of the Olympic Peninsula. When you come to the Olympic Peninsula, you're going to Port Angeles. We have a number of events and happenings here. Crab Fest is known throughout the greater region. We also have the coho. You have to come to Port Angeles to go to Vancouver Island this way, right? Anacortes is very far away. And we've got a dedicated volunteer base here, right? We have a really proud population, and civic pride drives civic engagement. And that is something that we really we use here, and we're poised to use even more. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic in our area. There are some downtowns in other areas where folks don't even get out of their car, save to go to the gas station market, right? And that's not our case here. And we are, this moment in time is a once in a generation moment with just the significant amount of investment, both private and public, that is going into our waterfront district. This hasn't happened here in a very long time. And so we need to jump on this opportunity and not let it pass us by. So kind of having those challenges and opportunities in mind, we utilized the SMART framework and we drafted a strategic action plan in the winter of 2021. And so this plan identifies 4 goal statements, and each one of these goals will contribute to accomplishing, that base camp for your stay, right? And, the gateway to adventure. And so each goal then can be accomplished by 4 unique strategies, and each strategy has 4 specific action items to accomplish. So there's a lot of words, right? So this is a way to look at it. And this is how we go from taking a nebulous vision, like, we want to improve how our downtown is and how it's perceived. But also, we want to take it to a specific place. We want to make this place a place, right? We want to place make here and make Port Angeles a spot that people don't only drive through, but come to. And so this is what we're working with, right? So what are the goals that get us to a place where we are, a base camp for your stay and a gateway to adventure? Our first goal is authentic promotion. And, that's about being a proper noun, right? Not just downtown with a capital D in front of it. You can't Google that. But, being the Port Angeles Waterfront District, there's only one of us. And so we're easy to find. We're a thing. Want a place that people want to be, where you can sit out on this street, at a cafe and just enjoy existing, in our district, right? Economic vitality. Nobody wants to hang out in a
Uh-oh. Is he freezing up for the rest of you too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hey,
Texted him.
did you text him?
Yeah, I just let him know he's frozen.
Okay. Thanks, Rebecca.
Apparently, we still have some broadband and Wi-Fi problems that we need to take care of in this region.
Yeah, for certain. That's why I always have to come into the office to do it. I can't do it from my house anymore. It's too unreliable with my 4 megabits a second or whatever it is.
Wow.
But of course, the maps show I have high-speed broadband at my house, which I don't. I have a copper wire in the street. Yeah.
He's
It's your
logging back
neighbor
in.
who has it, right?
Say that again?
It's your neighbor who has it, not you.
Yeah, I even bought the Starlink, but
Yeah.
there are too many trees around. So I've got the very expensive antenna and tried to use it for a couple months, and the copper wire, the DSL was better than that. So,
Wow.
and
I think
Rebecca,
he's back.
what's that, Daniel?
I think he's back.
Good. Good.
Don't see him.
Not seeing them yet.
Am I back?
There you
Yes, there you
All right,
are.
awesome. Sorry, everybody.
A-okay, we all have technical issues.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go back to sharing screen then.
Terrific.
All right. So talking about economic vitality, right? We want it to be a region that, feels alive, right? And has a lot of activity. And then finally, the last goal of this is to have a sustainable model, right? So if we're creating an engine that's humming, we need to schedule maintenance for that engine. We need to make sure that, you know, things are running correctly, and that there's a bit of a guiding hand just to make sure that all of the parts are playing well together. And so that's the fourth goal of our strategic action plan, right? So kind of going into it, so once we had drafted that in the winter of 21, Elevate Port Angeles got to work, right? And so we started by assigning leads for our steering committee and our goal committees and seeing, you know, which actions would be easy, what's the low-hanging fruit, you know, what's the pertinent stuff that time-sensitive things that need to happen with some of these construction projects, and making sure that timing works well together. We identified key players and organizations to partner with, and this is super, super important. You know, just about everybody that's doing anything in this town right now cares about this town, right? And there are many other groups that are working right now that have similar goals, and they have plans to achieve those goals, you know, that Elevate Port Angeles doesn't necessarily know about. And once we know about, we want to work together because we're working towards the same stuff, right? But it's super important that, you know, we are partnering with and collaborating with other organizations that, you know, are, you know, working towards the same stuff. We are at the end of the road, but we are not a frontier town, right? And so, you know, collaboration is really important, and working with others as well, not just shooting from the hip. We also started to initiate stakeholder communications through holding regular meetings. So those monthly Elevate Port Angeles meetings, they've been going on for a very long time now. They're open to the public, and, you know, public is actually encouraged to come. Primarily stakeholders come to those. We implemented a cleaning, maintenance, and beautification program. So this is the spring spruce up, and we have plans to expand that throughout the year. Some exciting stuff is coming down the pike on that. We worked with Clallam Transit to help introduce a shuttle between the Waterfront District and Hurricane Ridge. And this was important because in our research, we found there were a lot of people going up to the top of Hurricane Ridge, but they were not coming downtown, and they were not spending their dollars here. And so by having a shuttle between the district and Hurricane Ridge, we encourage people to be in our district and to spend money in our district. We also helped to support the city in improving access to public restrooms in the district, those Portland Blues. I've used them, they're pretty clean. And, you know, that's been a nice thing for downtown business merchants. You know, I know at the wharf, they don't constantly have people asking where the bathrooms are and for the bathroom code. So that's been really nice for some downtown business merchants. We also solicited additional funding from downtown merchants to help secure a dedicated on-site district police officer, you know, a beat cop for the district, right? Officer Moore is great, and we have really noticed a difference in both the perception of safety in general, and it's just been nice for folks downtown to have somebody they know they can reach out to and they'll hear back from. We created a community-wide calendar, olipencalendar.com. This is used by the public at large, but this is also a big deal for event planners on the North Olympic Peninsula. It's stupid to have a bluegrass festival in Quilcene happening on the same weekend as a bluegrass festival in Forks, right? You know, and we want to collaborate not only just within our district, but within the North Olympic Peninsula at large, and make sure that we're in general offering a cohesive experience for the visitors to the Olympic Peninsula. We developed a district brand, right? And that's what we're talking about today, the Port Angeles Waterfront District. We're a proper noun, we're Googleable, you know, we're very easy to find. You know, and with that, we established a social media presence that does a couple of things. We create our own content that pushes the district as a destination point, but also boosts posts from not only our downtown merchants, but our nonprofits that exist within our district as well. And those have been really helpful. And, you know, we also have supported existing downtown merchants continuing legacy events and promotions. So these are things like the fall crawl, Novemberfest, the downtown Christmas lights, things like that. So there are things that have been happening in our downtown region that, individuals have been maintaining. That's not a sustainable process on those, and it's not fair to those individuals. And so we're putting them back underneath an organization to assist with those individuals and, prevent burnout, right? And then finally, Elevate PA created a new entity to manage themselves. And that is this entity here. This is the Port Angeles Waterfront District. We're a 501c6 nonprofit. And, we are executing the strategic action plan, right? So
I got a question for you, Sam. How does the Port Angeles Waterfront Center or District interact with the Port Angeles Downtown Association?
So the Port Angeles Downtown Association has been dissolved.
Okay.
They dissolved mid-COVID, I believe.
Okay.
So, I've worked with a number of the folks that used to run that organization, were heavily involved in that organization. I have inherited some of their furniture and their paperwork. And so, a lot of the historical things that the Downtown Association has done, I am aware of and learning about, and, those folks are a very valuable resource to the Waterfront District. We have a different goal than what the Downtown Association had. We're not so much a merchant association. Our actions are largely dictated off of this action plan, right? And, this document is going to be getting updated next year. But we've got our eyes on a couple of different pies, and it's not just merchant focused.
Got it. Great. Thanks.
Yeah. And so this is an exciting slide. Some of you may have seen in the past, but it has been updated. So, we're here, like, with the preferred future is happening. There are people that are coming to Port Angeles right now because they want to come for a few different reasons, right? And so there's, and one of them, honestly, is that Port Angeles wharf sign, right? Like, the tourists are a little bit like moths to a light at night with that. There are so many pictures online about that. It is an iconic picture that folks can take. But just kind of going over some of these projects here, starting at the top left, moving right. This is Eric Dupar's condo project, which is moving forward. That's going to be exciting. That's going to bring more residential units to our waterfront district, and it's going to help bring in other commercial businesses serving those residents that are going to be living here 24/7, which is exciting. Moving over to the next one, that's Field Arts and Events Hall. They just wrapped up their first year of operations. They've done a great job. They're bringing in really cool people, both from away and local talent, right? Amanda Lynn Bacon has sold out every single show that she's done here. And so, that's exciting. Like, I love it. The wharf, is fully the wharf now. I haven't heard it referred to as a landing in years at this point. They've been able to bring a lot of new businesses in, and bring a new whale watching company in. So that's great for our waterfront. The Lincoln Theater redevelopment is planned to happen. It is happening in the next couple of years, and that's going to bring another stage to our waterfront district, which is really going to help keep those Canadians here, go see a show at Field Hall, and then, something else at Lincoln Theater. It's exciting. Seaplanes are still coming to our harbor. The Hollywood Beach Seaplane Authority is working on that and working on, their dock and how that's going to work. And so I can't wait in the next couple of years to start seeing seaplanes arriving within our harbor. Going down to the bottom left here, this is the most recent, and I believe this is the final conceptual drawing for the Marine Discovery Center, which is well on its way. There are some very exciting plans with this. It's going to be an accredited aquarium. They're going to have a live seabird exhibiting here with tufted puffins. I'm excited. It's going to be cool. And that's only a couple of years away. Like, that is really moving forward. They're still looking for some federal funding right now, but Melissa's got some cool plans. Moving on to the next one, this is phase 3 of the waterfront redevelopment. It's finishing the last little bit of Railroad Avenue and touching up a lot of elements of the city pier. That's going to be exciting. And the Red Lion is continuing to remodel, right? They've largely remodeled their rooms. They look great. You know, I don't know how many of you guys walk on the waterfront trail, but you can see that they've redone all of their balconies, you know, and they're getting ready to renovate their facade. And that's going to look really good and modern, and it's going to fit in with everything else that's going on. So that's exciting. So, you know, who is the Waterfront District right now, right? This is our board of directors. It's really important that we have people on our board representing the stakeholders in our district, right? And so we've got somebody from the port, from Blackball, the Chamber of Commerce, the city of Port Angeles as well. And then we have a bunch of property owners, like the owner of Harbortown Marketplace, and business owners like Kindred Collective and Cabled Fiber and Yarn, Onyx Movement Studios, Fogtown Coffee. We also have an events person with Crab Fest. And then we've got Field Arts and Events Hall too. And so it's a good group of people that has a varying array of perspectives that are very important for an organization like this that's collaborating with just about everybody, right?
Great.
So
Hey,
what are some of the things
Sam,
that, yeah.
there are a couple questions in the chat.
Yeah.
First, Patricia asked, what are the boundary lines of this district?
So let's see. Right now, let's see. Boundary lines go from Oak Street to just a little bit past Lincoln Street, and then Railroad Avenue up to First, right? And that's where they are right now. But one of the things that we're working on is expanding the district boundaries just a little bit. You know, there are some properties right now that aren't within our district that don't exactly make sense. So like the Waterfront Center should be fully within our district. Red Lion Hotel should be fully within our district. So we are looking to expand that district to go from Valley Street up to Peabody. And that's something that we're going to be working on this fall.
Okay, great. Paul asked, can you be more specific about the status of Eric Dupar's project, including the negotiations with the city?
No.
I know they were looking at purchasing some land from the city. I think there were 7 lots.
Yep. I think what I can say publicly right now is that there have been some exciting developments on that. And Eric Dupar is going to be in the community in September this month. And there's movement happening on that now. So it's not really my place to announce that movement, but I think, you know, pay attention in the paper this next month. There's exciting stuff coming.
Good news. Good.
Good news.
Yeah. All right. And so back to this slide, actions in process.
Cool beans. Yep. So, you know, the welcoming vista, right? I've heard a lot of people complain about that on Facebook. You know, you're driving into town on Front Street and you can't see our gorgeous downtown waterfront, right? You can't see the city pier or anything like that. It's not as simple as just cutting down some trees. You know, it's on a bluff. And so we worked with the city last year. We got a grant. We got a plan in action for how to manage this bluff so we don't destabilize it while we have a view. And we are we are into that process now. So if you've noticed, this past spring, we had a work party where we were able to safely remove a number of trees and, you know, just vegetation. And we're going to continue to be doing that. So we're on a 10-year plan for that. It's going to be a sustainable plan. So, you know, we're not where we want to be yet, but we're working on it and we're getting there. It's exciting. We're also working on year-round programming and pop-up events in Lot B. And I've got a follow-up slide on that if you're wondering where Lot B is. We're working with the city to improve and replace the outdated wayfinding signage in our downtown area. We're also working with property owners to encourage involvement and investment in their properties for our space. Nobody wants to get left behind right now, right? The tide is rising. And so, you know, what was acceptable 10 years ago maybe doesn't look as good these days as other properties are starting to shine. And so, you know, working with property owners on how to get their property, you know, up to a new level in a way that's not, you know, rough on them, right? You know, Port Angeles is full of people with chutzpah. We've got a lot of entrepreneurs here that don't necessarily, that have knowledge gaps in how to operate a business, open a business, run a business, right? But we want to encourage those people, you know, to be running small business. Like Port Angeles there's a lot of small business here, and that's one of our big engines in our waterfront district, right? And so we're working on developing that and helping folks, you know, run a business and run a business well. We started an annual celebration of volunteers and achievements. That's our community awards that happens at the end of January. It's a very important thing to do. You know, civic pride absolutely fuels civic engagement, and it is a positive feedback loop. And so, you know, we really do want to honor the people that go above and beyond for our community, because we need it. We really do need it right now. We're also working on developing funding, you know, for the organization. So we're not just being funded, you know, locally, right? We want dollars from away coming into the community and then being spent within the community. And that's the idea. You know, I don't want to hire somebody to do promotional work, you know, tourist pictures and stuff like that doesn't live here, right? Like, we should be supporting our Port Angeles vendors that work in the tourist industry, you know, here with the tourist dollars that we're getting, right?
Love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely, right? You know, like, let's support ourselves, right? Let's keep the dollars in Port Angeles. And then, you know, we're also, it's really important to be giving regular progress assessments to the public. We're accountable to the public. This plan was developed by the public, you know, and so, like, we want to hear, how are we doing? You know, these are the projects that we're working on right now. And that's a continuing process. So we have a couple of ways that we do that. We've got a very active Facebook where we're answering questions that everybody sends our way. We've got our monthly Elevate PA meetings. And we will be at the beginning of next year starting the process of updating our strategic action plan, because we're about 5 years into it at this point. We're also working on our district boundaries. So that's, you know, that was just kind of brought up. We do think that it makes sense to expand the boundaries a little bit and make sure that we are within, you know, like the district should be the central business district, right? And right now, the borders of our PBIA district don't exactly match up with the central business zone. And so it's cleaner, it makes more sense for these two things to be the same, right? If you're in the waterfront district, you should be in the central business district. And then finally, right now, we are assisting the city of Port Angeles with their comprehensive plan update. We are encouraging participation amongst different segments of the population, folks that typically roll their eyes at you know, surveys from the government, because it's real. This is a very important document that guides policy in the city for years to come. And so, you know, right, we want the waterfront district, you know, represented in that, and our interests represented in that. It is really important that, you know, as a central business district, we're allowed to, you know, run our businesses, you know, generate all of that sales tax income, right, for the city of Port Angeles. But then also, right, we want industry here. We want good paying jobs in Port Angeles, you know, across the gamut, right? We want more industry in Port Angeles. We want all sorts of things. And so it's just really important that, you know, we get more people out talking about it, you know, talking to folks at the city The people that have been filling out these surveys are the same folks that always fill out the surveys, and so we want other interests represented in this thing. So Colleen, were there more questions? I saw some.
Yeah,
Oh.
there were a couple. So from Lori, she says, loving the new murals. The new bike lockers are great to have as well. Is the fountain functional right now? Often it isn't working. And then she says, also the weekly post listing everything happening downtown the upcoming week is really great work. Thanks for your work.
Cool. The fountain is working this morning. I saw it. On Monday, some people put some dish soap in there, right? So it's been bubbly for a couple of days. There is a plan, right, to replace those stairs. And I'm not sure, it's public, but I'm not sure how aware everybody is of that plan. And those stairs, and that's going to happen in the next year or two. And so when those old wooden stairs are replaced, the fountain is going to go away. And so, that is coming, right? And so this could be our last summer with it, but it might be another year or two, just depending. I don't think the project's quite fully funded yet. But yeah, that fountain has definitely seen better days. And I know that they have quite a few issues with its plumbing too. And it's a little difficult to access as well.
So great. Mike Maxwell, Dr. Maxwell says, you may have already mentioned this, but are city government representatives participating in Elevate PA? I saw Corey Delicott was on your board. Are there any elected officials that engage regularly?
We don't have anybody on the city council right now. We've sent an invite over if we want somebody from city council to be on our board. This action plan has been presented to the board or the city council a couple of times. So they are well aware of what we're up to. And we do have a few city council members attend our Elevate PA meetings as well. So that's kind of how they've been involved at this point. Great.
Thank you.
Cool. So, here's an example of a work in progress, right? So this is our current welcoming vista. You can't see all that much, right? This is Haynes Point. A lot of the work that we've done is further west on Front Street, closer to the red line. So as you're driving, and the idea is we'd start down there because that's where people are stuck at the red light and they just get to look to their right-hand side and see some water. And the thinking being, right, oh, well, this is encouraging me to maybe, take a right at Lincoln and go on to Railroad. We'll get to the, Haynes Point is happening. And, that's one of the next ones we're going after. But yeah, so I wanted this as an example of one where it's like, we're actually working on it, even if it doesn't look like it. Yeah.
Great. So Bo has a question for you. Go ahead, Bo.
Shoot.
Hey, Sam, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but this is all very exciting for the community. And I just wanted to know, is there any discussion or forethought around how to better manage traffic and parking downtown? I think that part of your success is that there's been an increase in a lot of traffic and parking issues. And of course, it's just going to get better or worse depending on how you look at it moving forward.
Yes, there have been lots of discussions about this right now. We don't have a lot of solutions at this moment, but there are plans. So as part of Eric Dupar's condo project, he will be building a parking structure that's going to be bringing more parking in. We have some plans on ways to adjust how the parking is done downtown, and changing parallel parking to angled parking. There are ways to add a few parking spaces here or there. Parking is absolutely an issue that we have people talking about and brainstorming solutions. So if you've got any good ideas, Bo, shoot me an email.
Will do, Sam. Unfortunately, I have just noticed and don't really have any great ideas.
Totally. Well, just know that not everybody, but almost everybody's talking about it right now. And so, we are looking at ideas and how other communities have solved this, right? It's very expensive to build a multi-story parking structure, and that's something that I think it'd be a tough lift for the city to undertake themselves right now. And so it's something that, we're looking at different ideas and business models and how these things have been done in other places that have the same kind of economic challenges that our community has.
Hey, thanks a lot, Sam.
Yeah, for sure, man. So kind of moving on to pop-up events. So this is lot B. It's in between Railroad and Front, Oak and Laurel. This is where the Winter Ice Village happens every winter, right? And it's going to continue to happen. This is also where the Lawnmower Demolition Derby happens on July 4th. And if you've never gone to it, do yourself a favor and do it this next year. It's a lot of fun. We have the ability to throw events here just about year round. We want to leave it open in the summertime for overflow parking for Blackball. It's very important that Blackball Ferry, can have people park here. And so, that will always kind of be one of our priorities for this lot. But there's a lot of other ways that we can occupy this space and give another reason to come out to Front Street and Railroad out by Oak Street, where we have, it's almost like a bit of a commerce desert over here with the number of the parking lots and how they're a little bit lower than the sidewalk. It's not the most appealing pedestrian experience. And so this is one of the ideas that we came up with on how we can activate this space, for now, right? But then also keep some of that parking. Like, we're not looking to take away parking downtown, right? Kind of just even given the last comment I just made, but this is a lot that is not used during the year. It is occasionally, I know Blackball's used it 3 or 4 times this summer. And so we want to maintain that capability, but also come up with some new fun stuff. So I've been talking to the Red G laser tag guy about doing a laser tag competition down here. We've talked about potentially having a little carnival down here. There are a lot of ideas. If you've got a fun one, shoot me an email. This is a fun thing. So yeah. We've also been working on promotions. So we've got this really nice downtown walking map that, folks love. And we do our Thursday weekend promotional post. Takes me about 1.5 hours to 2 hours to put it together every week. It's very valuable. So it goes up Thursday, by noonish. Typically by Friday night, we have between 1,500 and 3,500 eyeballs on it. This has been a really nice thing to help build community amongst downtown merchants, and it helps drive people to our district. So we're going to continue to do it. We're figuring out ways to make it a little more fun and exciting. And then placemaking events. Oh.
Okay, real quick, Pat McCauley asked, how do you interact with 4PA?
So we're talking to Joe right now about potentially hiring him for some additional services downtown. They already clean up the streets within our district, but we are looking for a way to increase their presence here and pay them for that.
Right.
I love 4PA, and 4PA is one of these organizations where their mission statement is basically the same as ours, right? We're going for the same thing. And so, we're really excited to collaborate with them and to hire them, right? Like there are so many beautification projects for our waterfront district to engage in. And frankly, I view those as some low hanging fruit. It's some easier stuff to bite into than, changing some infrastructure things down here. So, we will be working quite a bit with 4PA in the near future, and I'm excited about that.
Great.
So we're wrapping up here. This is these are some of the placemaking events that are happening, that we're involved with. downtown this fall. So obviously Crab Fest is not listed here, right? But Fall Crawl is adult Halloween that happens on the Saturday before Halloween. It's a lot of fun. I totally recommend participating in it if you haven't heard of it before. We do trick or treat. So, we reimburse our downtown merchants on the candy they buy up to $3,000, for everybody. So last year we were able to reimburse candy for all merchants. In the past, merchants haven't exactly loved downtown trick or treat because they paid for the candy out of their own pocket. And, the kids are just coming for free candy and the parents aren't going into the shop to buy, right? And so, but how can we have the downtown be a fun place to be, and not have it be a drag on our merchants? Novemberfest is a cool shopping event. And then the Hometown Holidays event, that's our tree lighting event on Small Business Saturday after Thanksgiving. A lot of fun. Santa Claus comes down, Christmas carols, cookies. It's a good time, and that kicks off our Christmas shopping season for the downtown district. And so how can you get involved, right? I'd love it if you got involved. You can attend our monthly meetings of Elevate, PA. They always happen on the last Monday of the month at 6 p.m. in the Mood Room at Moss. And that's a great way to meet your neighbors, meet your colleagues. And we're building community right now, and we're coming up with some cool things to be doing. We just had a meeting a couple days ago. Our next meeting will be on Monday, September 30th at 6 p.m. And then the other way that you can get involved is by brains or bronze and volunteering. And so, if you want to help with your brain, I'd love that. We've got action plan committees that are being formed right now. And so there are a couple based off of the welcoming design goal. And so those are a district alleyway placemaking project. How do we transform our alleyways into a place, that isn't necessarily a spot you're going to hang out in, but maybe is a spot you feel comfortable with walking through at night. And then our district style guide, and that's about, producing a document that we can give new downtown merchants that will help them, fit in with our neighborhood, like as a cohesive style, but also help those entrepreneurs that have the knowledge gaps in business operations, and then also kind of talking about, hey, maybe don't be closed on Sunday and Monday because a lot of our businesses are closed on Sunday and Monday, and that's actually an issue for our tourist experience, right? Where do you go to eat on a Sunday? Where do you go to eat on a Monday? So if you're interested in one of those, shoot me an email. And then, we always need labor. So we've got some fun projects coming up this fall. Trick-or-treating, being at the crosswalk guards. We'll be installing winter lights. We're taking that project over from Kiwanis. They've, after 30 years, they've kind of aged out of that. And so we're happy to maintain that and elevate it a little bit. So this year we're going to be trained by the guys that do it over in Blinn for the Jamestown Sklallam tribe. So our trees are going to pop. It's going to look really, really nice. It's exciting. And then also hometown holiday setup. So that's another one. So yeah, I think we have a couple of minutes for questions here. If anybody has any.
All right. Let's see. Does anybody have any follow-up questions for Sam? Hey, I'm really impressed with this work. You obviously have a really strong board and great guidance, but I can sense the passion and the excitement from you. And there's just a lot of great projects that you guys are working on. So I just want to say congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
As our main EDC office is located in the former downtown location of the First Fed building. And so, we're in that waterfront district area. So we'll probably be sending somebody to participate as well.
Awesome.
And we've given out candy at Halloween last year and that kind of stuff. I've got a couple staff members that are huge Halloween fans. I'm more of a grump and sit in the back. But we'll have our doors open for sure.
Awesome. Put Rebecca on it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Sam, I don't think you addressed, where do you get your funding?
So right now we have our funding from a couple of places. We've got funding from, we're in a PBIA district, right? That's a parking business improvement area. And so that is partially it. We also right now are functioning off of a county or city LTAC money. And the idea is that, so next year, we're going to be applying to get into the Washington Main Street program. And when you're a district that it exists within that, the businesses within can actually pledge up to 75% of their B&O tax that they're already paying to the state, to the district. And so, you know, that's another way that we can keep money from the community in the community to improve the community, right? And so that's the idea. We just got a really nice Washington State Commerce grant to help with the comprehensive plan update with the city. I'm pursuing another Washington tourism grant right now for downtown revitalization, which is right up our alleyway, right? And so there are so many grants that exist out there right now to do this kind of stuff. And so that is one of the big things we're doing, you know, as an organization, and, you know, we're in a community that, you know, has faced some tough news recently. We're not looking to be a burden, you know, an additional tax burden on anybody, right? So, you know, we are shooting for outside dollars for this sort of stuff.
Well, the
Right.
port just changed some grant information. They have some grant money for your type of project. So you might actually talk to the port commissioners and look there.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm sure Caleb, your board chair, can give you the information on that.
Totally.
So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up this morning. And I see Carol wrote that Kitsap Bank can write an endorsement letter for your Main Street application. And they do that in Port Townsend, Gig Harbor, Waterfront districts. And then Lena says the B&O tax credit must be done as soon as it's opened, which I think is 12/31. There's a limited amount available for this and needs to be done right away. So, and I know small businesses that have revenues of less than 250,000 don't have to pay B&O tax, but hopefully our downtown businesses are thriving and are well over that.
Right.
So, and Carol says she just supported a Bremerton downtown association as well. So that's really terrific. I think they're great programs and we appreciate you guys joining us today. And Sam, your terrific work and wonderful presentation. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.